Hi, this is Dan from Tiny Home Builders. In this video, I'm going to be giving you a brief overview of some of the features that we put into our tiny house trailers. Starting at the tongue of the trailer, we've got a lot of features here that you'd expect to see standard on a heavy-duty equipment trailer. These features include a standard 2 and 5/16 inch cup for your hitch, a heavy-duty jack which allows you to easily raise and lower the front of the trailer. We've got heavy-duty chains which attach to your vehicle's trailer hitch assembly, which provides a second level of defense in the event that your trailer becomes detached from the hitch. We've got a breakaway cable here, which in the event that the hitch fails and the chains fail and the trailer is still able to separate from the vehicle, this will get engaged, which will automatically engage the electric brakes on the trailer, which will stop it from rolling. And then finally, we've got a 7-pin connector. On smaller vehicles or smaller trailers, you'll find a 4-pin connector, which provides power just to the lights. A 7-pin connector is standard when you have electric brakes. It provides power to the brakes as well as the lights. Moving away from the tongue, we can see that the entire trailer's framing, with the exception of this side flange here, is constructed of a heavy-duty, high-quality square steel tubing. This heavy-duty square tubing is some of the strongest material you can use on a trailer. It's stronger than angle iron, definitely, and even stronger than C-channel. Where this trailer really shines when it comes to tiny houses is in its deck design. When you're building a tiny house on a trailer, you really want that tiny house to be connected to the metal parts of the trailer. Now with a standard trailer, that can be a little difficult. You normally have wood decking here that runs the length of the trailer, and sometimes you'll see where we remove every other board and you can attach the house to some of those boards. But those boards aren't really meant to be pulled up on, so that's not a very strong connection to attach your house to. So that leaves the sides of the trailer. So on a standard trailer, you can always go and have this metal flange attached, which is something we recommend, or you can just attach a bracket to it and kind of simulate this metal flange. But you're still only connecting the trailer at the very edges. You're not really connecting it so much in the middle. And you've got the extra weight of all that wood. On this trailer, you don't have that anymore. We replaced all the wood decking with these 2 steel beams, which run the length of the trailer. Now when we install our subfloor joist perpendicular to the trailer, we've got 4 connection points for each joist. We've got 2 on each side on the flanges, and then 2 in the middle of the trailer. And these are great connection points. This is where you can connect your house directly to the metal of the trailer. These metal beams not only provide a great place for you to connect your house to the trailer, but they also provide much needed support. A lot of the subfloors that you see with tiny houses are constructed with 2x4s, and they can get away with that using that smaller piece of lumber than what you might find in a normal home because you've got this metal support. But without those beams, you couldn't get away with that. The 2x4, this length from that edge to this edge is just too great for a 2x4. So if you didn't have these, you'd have to use a much larger piece of lumber. And the problem with using a larger piece of lumber is because of the height restriction of the house, you're actually taking away from interior space. So by having these beams, you can use cheaper lumber and you get more room. When we get to the axles, we're using tandem 5,200-pound axles. Those combine to give this trailer a capacity of over 10,000 pounds. Each axle is also equipped with its own electric brakes. That ensures that you can stop your tiny house when you need to. For the fender, I selected one that's made up mostly of straight edges, with the exception of this small curve here. There are some that have a much bigger curve which matches the curve of the wheel. The advantage to having just this small curve is when we go to put our sheeting up and our siding, we're not going to have to cut too many pieces with a curve. More than likely, we're just going to have to cut a single piece. If it's got a big curve, you're going to have to cut a bunch of them, and it's a lot more work. There are a few features that some other tiny house trailers have that I don't have, and those are for specific reasons. The first feature are the bolts that are pre-welded onto the trailer. Now, while that may sound like a great idea, in our experience, it just ends up being a little bit more of a hassle than it's worth. The bolts may not be at the right location, and so you may have to adjust your plans to make sure a joist lines up with it so you can attach it. That joist may not fall at a great place for you. It may be where you need to drop a drain line, for instance, for a toilet or for some other drain. And then also, it's coming up on your work surface, so you can't slide anything around. You start to bump into them, so you have to lift things up and over them. And then finally, you have to line up your wood, mark where the bolts are, then take the wood back off, pre-drill the hole, and then slide it back over. And when you're working with a single piece of wood, that may not be that difficult, but if you've got a subfloor, you've constructed all your subfloor framing, that can be a real pain. You'd have to kind of line it on there. So anyways, in our experience, it's just more hassle than it's worth, and so we don't like them. Another feature that we don't include is having the scissor jacks pre-welded onto the corners of your house. And there's a couple reasons for that. First off, I prefer to use jack stands instead of scissor jacks. I jack up the house and then we'll put a jack stand underneath it. Personally, I think they're more attractive. I think scissor jacks are a little ugly for me. And the jack stands can be tucked away a little bit. They're just, like I said, they're more attractive and they're a little bit stronger. The other reason is that if your trailer, when you start out, is in an uneven location, when you start to extend those jack stands that are welded onto your trailer, they're going to be extended out at an uneven angle. And so when you start to extend those out and push, you're going to be actually pushing the trailer in an uneven direction. And you can push the one side, but as you try to level it up, you're actually going to start to bend this one a little bit. So the benefit of having them installed, pre-installed, is that you don't have to get them out of your car and bring them over to your house 1 or 2 times, depending on how many times you're going to move your trailer. So the benefit is pretty small, and the cost, the unattractiveness, not being in the right location, perhaps you park your trailer someplace and there's a rock right there that you want to avoid and you want to move the jack, you can't do it. It's just the benefits don't outweigh the negatives for us. These trailers were designed by me, for me as a tiny home builder, to give me exactly what I needed and to make my job as easy as possible. And they don't cost any more than a standard equipment trailer.